everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a slightly different video. I wanted to talk about my LASIK experience actually. I feel like I've had somewhat of a unique experience, so I wanted to kind of share everything that I've kind of gone through. If you look at the very first beginnings of my YouTube channel, I was wearing glasses during that time, and so I got LASIK, and I had mentioned before I kind of wanted to talk about it, just never got around to it, so now I'm finally getting around to it. This is going to be a little bit of a long video because I want to give all of my experiences, details, the whole process, everything like that. So if you're interested in getting LASIK, if you're thinking about it, definitely watch this video in its entirety just because I feel like it'll give you really good information. So a little bit of background about my eyesight. When I was 4 years old, I got surgery on my eyes. I think it was something to strengthen my corneas, and ever since then I've been wearing glasses. Time I was 4 to about 8 or so, I think I just wore glasses that were for that particular surgery that I got. And then when I hit about, I think 11 or so, that's when I became nearsighted and I switched over to my nearsighted glasses. I wore contacts all the way from 9th grade all the way up to college, so after college. And I always wore blue contacts. I was always wearing colored contacts. I loved it. I, for the most part, took care of my eyes, but of course there were those days where I slept in with my contacts and things like that. So my eyesight was about -6, -7. So really I couldn't, without my glasses, I couldn't see about this far from my face. After that, things were just kind of blurry. So it was a really big bother for me, just because anytime I would put my glasses down, I had to kind of find it. It's just in the mornings, at nights, I have to go to the restroom, I just have to be a little bit careful. I just really couldn't see very well. And my glasses were very expensive because as your eyesight gets worse and worse and worse, you tend to need more specialized glasses, like a thinner compression, all this kind of stuff, coating, things like that. And so they just get really expensive, and I just didn't like wearing glasses every single day. And as someone that always wore contacts throughout my life, it was just really hard for me to get used to wearing glasses. Now, I was never scared of LASIK because my father had LASIK done when I was, I think, in high school or something, and I saw him get the procedure done and all that. So I always knew it was an option. Just I wanted to wait until I was old enough till my eyes were, I guess, done growing, I guess. So at least till my prescription kind of leveled out, because every year my prescription would get a little bit worse, a little bit worse. Finally, I had a year, 2 years where it was kind of the same. So that's when I kind of figured, oh, maybe I should kind of look into LASIK now. So I think if you're really young and you're thinking about LASIK and your eyes have gone worse every single year, I would still wait, because you don't want to get it too young and then have it get worse by the time you're 30 or 40 and then have to deal with glasses again, or get the surgery done again. So I would just kind of wait until you're a little bit older. So I got mine when I was 27, I believe, 28, I think. And I had asked my doctor if it was the right choice for me. We agreed that it looked like I could benefit from it. And so she scheduled me to go to a LASIK center and get a consultation. Now, consultations are always free when you go to a LASIK center. What they're going to do is scan your eyes, make sure your cornea thickness is thick enough that they can do the procedure, give you different options. There are 2 different types of I guess eyesight corrective surgeries you can do. There's LASIK, and there's another one called PRK. PRK is slightly older. LASIK is a newer technology, and they're just a little bit different in the way that they correct your vision. LASIK, the doctor will actually make an incision in your cornea, open the cornea flap. The laser goes in, corrects the thing, and then he kind of puts the flap back on, and then you just wait for the flap to heal. It does also produce a lot of dry eye though for the LASIK after you've gotten the surgery. PRK is for people who have very chronically dry eyes, or they have a very, very thin cornea, but they still want to correct their vision. So instead of cutting the cornea, the laser actually just penetrates straight through the cornea into the eye, and it does that. So the healing time for PRK is a bit longer because the cornea actually has to heal itself again. Now, I'm not a doctor, so if I get some of these facts wrong, then please correct me, or leave a comment down below for other people, but that's generally the differences. I was looking into LASIK, and so when I got the scans done, they said my cornea is actually very thick, so that's really, really good. And it's really good because my situation, I ended up having to get it twice, LASIK twice. So I'll go into that and why I had to get it done twice. go to a really, really good center. You're not going to want to just find a Groupon and go. This is something with your eyes. It affects your vision. Sometimes the problems don't come up until long term. So you really want to go somewhere that has a really good reputation. The doctors are highly accredited and credible. I asked my doctor for resources of which ones she recommended. And here in Orange County, one of the biggest centers is Envision Center in Newport Beach. And that's the place I went to, specifically getting the surgery done by Dr. Tuma, who is the owner and founder of the center. So he really is like the best of the best in this area, and because he's the best of the best, it is also extremely expensive. I got mine done for about $5,000. I've heard of people getting theirs done in like someplace for like $2,000, $1,000, and I just did not want to do that. The center has really good reputation. Also, I have a lifetime guarantee with this place, and that's where the thick cornea comes into place. If for some reason my eyesight is not fixed, which is what happened to me, you can get the surgery done again if you're a good candidate. And it's completely free. And so even if it's 10 years from now, 15 years from now, if my eyesight gets bad again, I can get it done again at the center for free. Because my corneas were thick in the scans, I knew that I had at least a couple more times to do the surgery if I needed it. If you do it repeatedly, it gets thinner and thinner. So you just want to make sure that you are a good candidate. So if you're going to a really expensive place, they give you a consultation and you have extremely thin corneas, you're only going to be able to really do it once, then I would really ask for clarification about this lifetime guarantee then, because you might, even though you have the guarantee, your eyes might not be able to get the surgery again. I hope that makes sense. Let's say, everything goes well, consultation goes well, you decide, yes, I want to do this. They're going to recommend for about 2 weeks for you to take fish oils, because I think the omega-3s in the fish oils really help your eye health. And you are going to be taking this pretty much for the rest of your life, just because after the surgery, your eyes are going to be very dry. It needs help healing. It needs just help with overall health and lubrication. They are also going to give you antibiotic eye drops, and I believe you put this on 3 days before your actual surgery. I mean, every center is different. Some people say do it 5 days before. Some people are saying 3 days before. I think mine was 3 days before. I had my surgery around 9 a.m. because people had recommended that I go early in the morning, and that way that, after all the paperwork, you get the surgery done, you can go to sleep for the rest of the day and kind of just chill out. Prior to your actual surgery, you're going to have an exam. So this is kind of like the final exam of checking your prescription one more time before you actually go into the operation room. And I would say my biggest tip for this part is really take your time. So the people who are checking your eyes are really great. They're very skilled, but at the same time, you are going into the surgery. Just be very sure when they're telling you what's clear, 1 or 2, 3 or 4. Really take your time. Say if you don't know, say you don't know. If you can't tell a difference, say you can't tell a difference. Really take your time. After you do that, I was led to a waiting room, and in this waiting room, which is really peaceful, they gave me some snacks while I was waiting. There was about 2 other people in there, and then they also give you Xanax. You might have heard of this for people who get treated for like depression or anxiety, but that's what they're using this for. It's more as a sedative, so that if you have a cough or you're just extra jittery and nervous, you can just kind of calm down, and it also kind of helps to knock you out later. So they gave me the Xanax, and I think they give you 1 extra to take home with you. And then after that, they put an eye drop in my eye that's going to numb the eye. It doesn't hurt, it just feels like regular eye drops, and that takes about a couple minutes, and then you are led into the operating room. And I do operating room because there's actually, I think at our center there was like 2 spots, I guess, 2 like places where the doctors could work, and you're just lying there. There's something that's placed over your eye to kind of keep it open, and it's not scary. It's not like there's any metal hooks or anything. It felt like when you're wearing like swimming goggles. It just kind of pressed it down, a little bit of pressure, and it just kind of keeps your eyes open. And then from there, he did the drops again, I think. I don't know if there were extra numbing drops or they were just wet, I'm not sure, but he put some drops in there, and then you start the operation. I think it only takes about like 2 minutes total, like the entire thing. Basically, it took about like 30 seconds for them to like prep the eye, so like holding the eye in place, putting the drops in, and then I think about like 12 seconds for the actual laser to work on the eye. So it was really, really quick. And the whole time I was lying there, you're awake, you're conscious. Again, you're a little bit kind of like chilled out because of the Xanax, but what I saw was like a green light, and he was basically saying, focus on the light, focus on the light. Keep focused on the light. And the light does move a little bit, but the machine is so sensitive, it's going to track your eye movement. I think there was a slight warming sensation, but it was nothing like burning or anything. It's almost just kind of like if someone gave you an eye mask that was heated and you put that over your eyes, even less than that. So just very, very slight warming, no tingling, no pain. After you're done, I sat up and I could see, like, it wasn't like 20/20 vision, because I think your eyes are like now needs to heal, your corneas actually need to heal. But it was just so amazing coming from someone who without their glasses can't see more than a foot away from their face to actually be able to like see the door and know I can exit that door and I'm not gonna like run into anything. So that was just the initial initial effect, I guess. I was just really overwhelmed, and then I was really sleepy and just really tired, and they gave me a little care pack with 2 glasses basically. So one is like your sunglasses that you wear outside anytime you're outside and walking from the center to your car, and they are just these very, very, very dark sunglasses that wrap all the way around, including your peripheral vision. They are very ugly, they're hard plastic, but you just wear that anytime you're out. The other thing that they give you is like your night safety goggles, I guess. They kind of look like ski masks almost in a way. They have a foam insert so it's not uncomfortable on your face, and you actually have to wear that when you go to sleep. And the purpose is that in case you're like a side sleeper, or you end up, sometimes people wake up and they don't remember that they've had surgery and they might rub their eye, you could dislodge your cornea flap, and so they just really want to protect your eyes when you're sleeping. And then you are also sent home with 2 different drops, I believe, an anti-inflammatory drop, and then I think your antibiotic drops again. And then you also have just regular hydrating drops. So I believe the antibiotic drops you're supposed to use for like 2 weeks or something like that. The anti-inflammatory ones, it's kind of like a milkier texture. You put that on, I think I put that on for like 5 days, I think. And you do it multiple times throughout the day. And then the hydrating drops are just what you buy over the counter. They're the ones in the separate vials, and it has to be preservative free, and you use that whenever you feel like. And right after the surgery, they recommend like do it once an hour. Just keep one on you in your pocket, and honestly, you are going to feel like you need it because your eyes feel so incredibly dry. They feel like there's sand in there sometimes, and it's not pain, but it can be if you're not taking care of your eyes. If you're not putting in your hydrating drops, it can be painful just because your eyes are so dry. Okay, so that's the surgery, that's the day of the surgery, that's like the first 2 weeks after, all of that stuff. Okay, now we're gonna move on to what happens next. So you do I believe you do a 1-week checkup, a 1-month checkup, 3 months, 6 months, and then your annuals after that with your regular optometrist. And so my optometrist is really wonderful. You know, she was really kind of there with me during the whole process, and that first checkup, everything looked good. She said my corneas were healing really fine. Things were still slightly blurry, but I kind of contributed to dryness. And then after the 1-month checkup, things were still good. Again, a lot of dryness. You're still kind of getting used to that. I never really dealt with like dry eyes before, and I just didn't realize how dry they were. Like they just felt, there was just no moisture. Like anytime I yawned, I would get barely any like moisture coming out of my tear ducts, and even now it's kind of like that. As far as my eyesight, for that first month, I definitely saw like halos at night, and what halos are is when you see like a street light, let's say this is a street light, you end up seeing this like round light around it, and it just kind of makes it hard to see, especially at nighttime. And so I was starting to see that. after the 1 month mark went away, that kind of disappeared, and then it was fine, but I still felt like my eyes were a little bit blurry, like I couldn't see fine. Because my eyes have been so bad for so long, I just didn't know what was normal. Like I would tell my husband like, okay, well, can you read that? And then, can you read that? Like whenever we were at restaurants, but can you read that? And he'd be like, yeah, I can read it. Okay, it's a little blurry, but I can read it. And I'd be like, see, I can't read that at all. And so I would have to constantly ask people around me who have good eyesight, like, what's normal? Like, what is 20/20? Like, I have no frame of reference. Maybe for me, like, I just kept thinking, well, maybe that distance is normal for regular humans to not be able to read, because my eyes were so bad before I got my LASIK. But I could just tell that maybe it just wasn't right. I talked about it with my doctor at the 1 month mark, I think. And while you're getting these checkups, sometimes you do get your eyes dilated. And when your eyes are dilated, you can drive, but it's a bit harder to drive. It's harder to see things close up than it is to see far away. She did say that my eyes prescription was not where it should be, like the 20/20, but we just didn't know if it was like the drops that were contributing to that, or was it dryness that's contributing to that. So she kind of said, let's wait again. Let's wait a little bit more until like the 3 month mark to see, once your eyes are really kind of getting used to your dryness. Like I'm getting used to the dryness of my eyes. I have completed using all of my drops, all that kind of good stuff. Let's really check the eye prescription then and see whether or not something just wasn't corrected in the surgery. And so at the 3 month mark, we finally decided, like, yes, I still have residual astigmatism. I still have some of my prescription left over that was not corrected. And so that's why I was seeing really blurry, and they were just kind of uneven. My doctor said she would contact Envision, which is the LASIK center that I went to see what they could do. And so Envision said, come back in, let's do a consultation to see whether or not I'm good as a candidate for like a touch-up, basically. Went into the consultation, they did the scans of my eyes, they said my cornea thickness is still good. As far as that, I'm a good candidate to do it again. And I think we just moved on from there. And then after that, I think after that consultation, we just scheduled it for really soon after. That's when I realized I just need to be really, really picky. So remember when I said about the exam that you do right before your surgery at the center? The person that was, I think it was like the nurse, or she might have been an optometrist. It was the optometrist or the nurse, I forget. She was checking my eyes, and I was just being very, very, very picky. I was saying, I can't tell the difference. They look very similar. I just wanted to be very sure that since this is my second time doing this, I did not want to have residual astigmatism, or my prescription would be bad or whatever. So I just took my time, and I could tell she was getting a little frustrated, and so she actually called one of the surgeons to come in to actually check my eyes. And so the center, I think, has like 3 surgeons or something, so it wasn't Dr. Tuma, but it was a different surgeon that came in to check my eyes. And then he kind of spent some time with me. I could tell he was getting a little frustrated, just a little bit, but they were still super nice and stuff, and very respectful and stuff. So I got my surgery again with Dr. Tuma because he is really one of the best surgeons. And I really don't blame him for the first time not working, I think basically my prescription just wasn't strong enough or something on the records or something like that, or maybe I just wasn't as clear, or my doctor wasn't as clear. Many things could have been the reason why. So it's fine. I think it's a little bit more complicated when you have astigmatism as well, because sometimes what seems like bad eyesight could just be the astigmatism that's contributing to that. And so there's a lot of different reasons, so I don't blame them. Anyway, so we did the surgery again, same exact process, same exact thing, the Xanax, the drops, everything was good. And then I noticed right away, like a week after that enhancement surgery, I could see so much clearer. Like, it was perfect vision. And so that's when I really like realize, okay, that first one just didn't correct enough. That was the issue. It wasn't so much that I was so confused about the dryness, so confused about all these different things. Like, you are supposed to see clearly. So if you end up getting the surgery and, you know, a week passes and you're still feeling like it's still blurry, no, like, you are supposed to be seeing clearly. Yes, there is a lot of dryness, but when your eyes are feeling good, when you put those eye drops in and it's not feeling dry, you are still supposed to see very clearly, far, near, all that kind of good stuff, unless they tell you otherwise, unless you have a special condition. So now I kind of want to segue into the aftercare, or I guess management of my eyes now. Oh, but before we begin, I still have all my like packets from the center. On the first surgery before I did that, they did do a test called the Avellino DNA test. It looks like that. They're looking for GCD, a granular corneal dystrophy, type 1 and 2, which is caused by genetic mutation. It says when the cornea is damaged by LASIK or UV light sunburn, the normal production of wound healing protein to the cornea is triggered. People with this genetic mutation will have surplus protein production, which builds up over time and causes gray and white spots on the cornea. The disease usually develops slowly. However, it varies according to the individual's patient's age, genetics, and environmental exposures. According to Avellino test results, the GCD2 genetic mutation is present in approximately 1 out of every 1,100 people. And so it was very optional. They were saying, like, you can take this test if you want to. I think I had to pay a little bit extra or something for the testing, but they highly recommended it. I just wanted to be sure, because basically what's going to happen is if I have this genetic mutation, I'm not going to see any consequences right away, but maybe in like 30 years, when I'm 60 or something like that, I'm going to have some severe issues with my eyes that I'm going to have a hard time treating. So I didn't want to deal with that when I'm older. So it's just better to rule things out. So this is kind of the pamphlet that they gave you. This is a regular eye, and this is what it would look like if you had this genetic mutation, and then as you got older after LASIK. And so it's just gonna, you know, affect your eyesight. And so why spend all this money when you can just give a little bit more to just get this testing done to make sure you're not you don't have this mutation. So how did I do the testing? I think it was just a cheek swab, and then the center takes care of all the testing. So if you're thinking about getting LASIK, after all the stuff that I've told you, and your center doesn't mention Avellino DNA test, I would definitely still bring it up, because I did my own research after. I didn't say, yes, I'll do it right away. I went home and I researched it, because your eyes are so precious, and when you're older, sometimes it's harder to find medical help. Maybe you don't have the resources, whether that's money or getting around. I would just suggest, you know, mentioning it to your center if they don't mention it to you first. So that's that. So let's go to aftercare. So now I'm still taking fish oils, although I'm not as good about it. And I can definitely tell when I'm not taking it consistently, my eyes get so dry. Another thing is I still take eye drops all the time. Right when I'm about to go to sleep, I take liquid gels, which are slightly thicker eye drops that are supposed to kind of rest around your eyes for a little bit longer. And so they're really good right before you go to sleep, because when you do put them in your eyes, you can't really see as well. It's a little bit blurry. And then I do eye drops as soon as I get up in the morning, multiple times. Right after my makeup, I will put eye drops in again just to get rid of any residue, and also to kind of replenish my eyes' hydration levels a little bit more. And for the first 6 months or so after the LASIK surgery, I was using the single vial eye drops. Basically, you can buy them anywhere, but they just come in a carton, and instead of just like one little bottle, they're just all individual ones that you peel off and then you use and throw away. And so they're supposed to be like very, very sterile and clean, and so that's why they recommend those right after your surgery. But after that, you can just use any kind of hydrating drops. I still look for ones that are preservative free, and I find that those work fine for me. So I do that all the time. That's just going to be your life now. Think about it like that. You are always going to be taking fish oil. You're always going to be using these eye drops. You just have to deal with that. And if that seems like a bother to you, or your eyes are not bad enough that you don't want to deal with the inconvenience of this, then I would wait until your eyes do get as bad and then make that decision. So those are the two things I mainly do. But it's been a year and a few months since my enhancement surgery, and so I finally went to my doctor and I kind of said, hey, I really want to take care of my eyes. Let's see what I can do about getting computer glasses, so that I can, use the computer and not harm my eyes. So I still have a slight prescription. It's still considered like having like really excellent eyesight. Like you don't need glasses to function. I'm still good, but I do have slight astigmatism left, and I still have a slight prescription. And some of the astigmatism is ones that's developed after my surgery too. I have these when I'm going to do really heavy computer work, and you can see they have like this yellow tint. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see probably there's like a yellow tint to my eyes. They look like 80 sunglasses. That's how they look like. So I got these like really early on, right after my enhancement surgery, and then after that I realized, well, I don't really like the yellow tints. I do want some other options, and so I got computer glasses for my phone that don't have this tint. It still has a slight coating, but it doesn't block as much UV light from the phone. I think it's only like 60% or something like that. Ones like this I think block like 80%. So I got those. I got reading glasses, and the reading glasses are just for like reading near. They're not like bifocals or anything like that. So I got those, and then I got the nighttime driving ones, especially with astigmatism. In the daytime, I don't ever need it, but at nighttime with street lights and just the way the lights are with my astigmatism, it can feel blurry because the lights are just like have all the little shards. If you have astigmatism, you know what I'm talking about. So because of that, sometimes it's hard to see, and so I will wear those. It makes a huge difference. And so that's kind of where I am now. I'm hoping that things don't get worse from this point on. I'm just trying to do everything I can to keep proactive and keep my eyes really healthy. Also, some things that you do need to do that's related to the dry eye is because your eyes are so sensitive now and so dry. You always have to wear sunglasses when you go out. I used to never wear sunglasses, but now I almost always have to. Warm compresses on your eye pretty regularly. I would say at least like 3 times a week, 3 times a month. 2 months ago, I was dealing with crazy dry eye, and that was because I was not taking my fish oils, and I wasn't doing the warm compresses that much, and I literally had like no moisture in my eyes. At first I thought something was wrong because I would wake up and my eyes would physically be in so much pain. They were so swollen, and every time I blinked it would just hurt so bad, and I just had so much pressure all around my eyes. I went to the doctor and she looked into my eyes and she was looking at the health of my eyes, and she said, wow, you have like almost zero moisture in your eye. Like it's like really bad, and because of that I had so much buildup of my like glands, I guess. And so she actually recommended, instead of warm compresses, to boil an egg and then wrap it like in a towel or something and then massage your eyes. But the eggs method, I guess, just is really warm, and as you're massaging it in, like she said, just focus on massaging down, and it kind of pushes those like that build up down through your tear ducts, through your lashes, and it'll come out. And it really does. After about like 10-15 minutes of that, you feel like your like eyes are really watery and like runny, like sticky, and that's just all that build up coming out. So I think it's just really important to remember, if you're going to do this LASIK, it's not just about the surgery. Afterwards, you really need to take care of your eyes, whether that means getting glasses for preventative care, doing the eye drops, doing this warm compresses, doing the egg massaging, or just massaging your eyes in general, really. And sometimes those things are not cheap. The eye drops I buy all the time now, they're like $18-20 bucks, depending on the brand. The warm compress I change out a couple every few months. Those are cheap, but the fish oils, again, sometimes those can be expensive over time. So it's not too bad, but I definitely feel like there is still an investment that you need to do long term, just for the management and health of your eyes afterwards. I do think it's so worth it, because I just wake up and I can just get on with my day. I don't have to worry about contacts. I don't have to worry about glasses. Special occasions are not like a huge deal for me anymore. And in the summertime where it gets really hot here, I was always having my glasses slip and slide off from my face, and I don't just need to deal with that anymore. So I think it's just really worth it, especially if you're someone who has really bad eyesight and you're kind of like, you feel tied to your glasses because they are such a big part of you. Really, after that enhancement surgery, when I got it done, like I was so teary like that first week, because I just could see so clearly, and it was just like an amazing feeling. So I know this was really long. I'm gonna try to cut what I need to cut, any repetitive remarks that I've made, but I just wanted to share my experience because I know a couple of my friends have asked me you know, that they're thinking about it. I asked on Instagram as well, like, you know, what are some of the things that you want to know? I think I answered all the questions. Basically, they want to know any pain or any sensitivity I had afterwards. I think that my biggest inconvenience is when I wake up and when I go to sleep. I still struggle with so much dry eye, and honestly, I've tried to find all these different kinds of solutions. You know, doing the warm compress and the fish oils definitely help, but I'm looking into getting a humidifier so I can put right on my nightstand, because when I wake up in the morning, feeling, no, just kidding. When I wake up in the morning, my eyes, they don't hurt as much like it did those last 2 months because I've been taking my fish oils again, but oh man, they still feel so dry and so uncomfortable. I'm literally like staggering to, because I always have to use the restroom, right? So I stagger to the restroom. I take an eye drop with me because I have like 2 on my nightstand. I take one with me, go to the restroom. Even before I pee, I like put the eye drops in first because they're just so uncomfortable. Like I hate it. It's so uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people might not have it as bad as me. I think I have a special case because I don't know the scientific word for it. I did look it up once, but I forgot. But basically, I sleep with my eyes open, and I know that sounds creepy, and it's not all the time, but I do sometimes, most of the time, sleep with my eyes open just a little bit, and I think even that little bit of amount really dries out my eyes. Now my husband and I are thinking, well, maybe we should get a humidifier so that we can constantly have the air that's on top of me really, really humid, so that it kind of, you know, doesn't dry out my eyes as much. And I think that's probably going to be the next step. If you know a humidifier, that's great as a nightstand version, I guess. It's quiet, it's not bright, it works well, it doesn't break, doesn't create mold inside. Please let me know, because I've been checking on Amazon and I'm just so confused. I don't know which one to get. And so if you use humidifiers, please leave your recommendations down below. I really need them. I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to this end. I hope it was useful and helpful. If you have any questions that I didn't address in this video, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to answer you, or you can always email me. I'm also going to put a bunch of links of items that I actually use, like the warm compress, the types of drops I use, other drops that I've tried that really help, and things like that. So yeah, just check out all those links as well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!